So Joe, thank you so much for giving me this absolute cool way to come in. And yes, I am not in my traditional garb. I'm not wearing black. I am honoring my Canadian people and in full Canadian regala today, tuxedo and stuff. But I will be one of your first people to ever take their clothes off because I can't do a meeting like that. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? So I was asked to come on today and talk about a couple different things: brand, community, influence, denim would be one of them, I guess. Typically, what I just did, whether it is having a full denim outfit or music played, or in what I normally do is have some obscure shoes on, like a yellow sneaker, is to be memorable, right? I will tell you this right now, I am the only presentation you'll probably never see at InfoComm because I'm not that cool to be presenting there. So my conversation today is about brand, community, and influence and how you guys in HETMA can use that. And Joe has a couple things that he wanted me to bring up in all seriousness. Branding, what is it? AV and the AM, that's probably how you guys know me the most for. All right, so AV and the AM is a Sunday conversation for those that have never participated or aware. It takes place on Twitter. Why Twitter? Because it can't flow the way it's supposed to flow on LinkedIn. So I had to find a social medium that would allow for it to happen. So it's on Twitter, it's on Sundays, and we kind of go all over the place with the different topics. Every week there's a theme, 5 questions, everybody answers the questions, and it goes from there. So let me switch this view here because now I can see, there you go. So in that, we tackle various conversations. I know we have media folks here, Distinguished Media and Tim Albright. So when we have, these topics, we want to talk about something that may be a little bit more edgier or controversial than, say, other folks are talking about, whether it is the Great Resignation and having true input from people why they're moving, why they're resetting, as opposed to, any other type of conversation. So how did this all start? Similar to HETMA, it was kind of something that wasn't there. So AV and AM, was a picture of a coffee mug. Today I brought out 2 of my favorite mugs. This one does have no coffee in it, but I am a Star Wars nerd. Why do I keep showing you my mugs? First of all, I should have thought about it a little better, but my mugs are a result of AV and the AM because I took a picture of a mug and started a question and answered a question, and then it started and snowballed. When you guys started HETMA, you wanted to get together and form a group of technology managers. In that, your whole idea was to bond, and you all had a common goal. So how do you elevate that now? You're all together, you got 80 people on this call. Not this particular call because it's my presentation, but I'm sure for the Tim Albright presentation, you'll definitely have 80 plus people. But what you want to do is you want to elevate your game. It's not that hard. So for people that have been on Twitter, that have been on LinkedIn, I helped you already over the last 30 days. Anybody who's paid attention and watched the AV challenge, did you really know what the AV challenge was? Did you really think it was just a way to just talk about your dog and show pictures of your dog? Secrets be told, it was a 30-day social media plan. For folks that don't know how to post, that don't know what to post, and don't know what to talk about, I gave you 30 days of answering a question. And those questions were designed specifically so that you were able to answer it and connect with somebody else. One of those questions was, are you team dog, team lizard, team cat? I had people telling me they're allergic. I had people telling me they had lizards. I had other people that don't want to show their pets. But it created the conversation, right? So the AV challenge on the surface looks like, oh man, I'm going to have to post for 30 days straight. How many people have increased their LinkedIn contacts or their Twitter followers since then? It's part of the plan, right? It wasn't a deep-rooted, evil, genius plan that I had. I hardly asked any technical questions. It wasn't about that. So when you're building a community such as HETMA, you got to find those common grounds. And in those common grounds is where you're going to find, the connection to everyone, right? So now that you have a group, how do you elevate that? And this is a conversation I had with Joe, and he says, hey man, why don't you come on and talk about how you do it or what we could do? You don't want to copy what I did for AV and the AM. You want to do bigger and better than what I did, right? There's always bigger and better. And how do you take that? So some of the things that I've done in the past is I hit the books. I know I don't play a smart guy on TV, but I do read. I am literate, which is great. And I'm the worst at telling you that I'm smart, because I'm not. I was smart in high school, but then something happened called college. And that completely wrecked every expectation I had to be somebody smart and meaningful. But outside of that, I do read. And there are some books that I have that will hopefully get your wheels turning. All right. So if you don't mind, I'll grab Tribes by Seth Godin. It is basically the manual or the handbook for everything I did or the blueprint for AV and the AM. Finding your tribe. I hate using that word, doesn't really jive with me, but you're finding your group, if you want to rename it something else. And what do you do for that, right? So the tactics that I used with AV and the AM was to find a common ground and then unite everybody. How did I unite everybody? I went out and made a t-shirt and a logo. And people asked, where'd you get that? The first thing I did, went to a screen printing place, bought a jacket at a sporting store and just had a little screen print on a jacket. That jacket cost me all in all about $100. Sucks. I can't send you all $100 jacket. But why did I do that? Because I took selfies and I put those pictures up to see if there was a market. Because I knew that if I gave you guys a brand and something to be part of, that you would follow that. HETMA's already halfway there. You have a logo, you have a brand, you have leadership, you have members. So how do you keep elevating that? Your swag is there. Joe knows. Joe's in the AV swag shop. You rock that. You wear it. You're proud of it. When you go to an Infocom, the one thing that I've had that I mentioned on a podcast, not being to Infocom for the last 2 years has killed my rock and roll moment. And I'll explain my rock and roll moment because I do refer to pop culture a lot in the times I speak. So if you've ever seen That Thing You Do, and they hear their song for the first time on the radio and they go nuts running through town. If you haven't seen That Thing You Do, please go see it. It's about a little band in Erie, PA, and what they did. When they hear their song, they go nuts. They run around town going, oh my God, we're on the radio. Not being at Infocom killed that moment for me. Because the one thing that I was looking forward to was seeing anybody who I did not know, could have been one of you guys, wearing something that said AV and the AM. That's how I know that it's crossed over. And I haven't had that ability. So maybe this year, for 2022, I may come across somebody who doesn't know and maybe take a selfie with them and they not know who I am, which is great. I'm fine with that too. So what I'm saying to you is think about elevating your own brand, because as you're elevating your own brand, you're elevating your community as well, right? I practice and do a lot of homework, not just on the stuff that I showed you with Tribes, which, by the way, if you're looking for more information on stuff that you can do to read, likable social media, that's one. Tweet Naked, which I almost did before. Super Fans by Pat Flynn, great book. Pat Flynn, by the way, is the guru of passive income. The one thing I don't know how to do. I'm horrible at monetizing. I don't make $1 off this stuff. I don't know how to do it. But that's okay. That's not what I'm in it for. When people said, hey man, you're going to have a t-shirt, you're going to sell AV and the AM swag, I still can't afford to buy an urn of coffee at Infocom with the shirts I've sold. It was not about the money. I'm not going to get rich off a t-shirt. But what it does is it provides you guys the ability to go out and buy the swag. And that was more valuable to me than making, 50 cents on a shirt. So once you have that mindset, elevate your brand, elevate HETMA. And how are we going to do this? First of all, if you're representing your brand, then you are now recruiting, whether you know it or not. There may be a technology manager from a small community college that you have not come across. I'll ask that question. There's nothing wrong with promoting what you do. Joe's the extreme. I mean, I watched Joe's process through InfoComm 2021. It was extreme, but it worked because you had one moment, right? Doctor Strange in the Avenger movie. You have 1,000,001 opportunities, but there's going to be that one, only one. And Joe hit it. Joe knew that if he put the foot on the gas at InfoComm, you would own the airwaves, so to speak, for that 1 week. And it was a gamble worth taking, especially with all you guys there. So as you're watching him doing dad-like moves on TikTok, which, by the way, Joe, those were some smooth moves. Think about why. Why would Joe do that? Because Joe thinks in the marketing sense. So I have a lot of praise for what Joe did. I know some of you guys want to poke fun at it, but he was very smart in how he did that, and I appreciate the candor of to put yourself out there, and sometimes taking that little extra step and putting yourself out there, making yourself uncomfortable. I didn't think I was going to be stripping in front of you this morning, but I figured, why not? Let's make it memorable. Let's be the first to do that. Maybe somebody will tweet that, oh my God, Neto just took off his shirt. You never know. But the one thing that is going to happen is you're not going to forget that. So whether it is AC/DC music, whether it's yellow sneakers, whether it's taking off my shirt to reveal that I am branding underneath, by the way, see what I did there? Represent your brand. And if you guys have any questions on how to do that, Joe's very good at it, and I'm always open to helping. You guys are leaders in what you do. Technology managers. I can say that at one point I was. 13 years ago, or for 13 years, I ran pharmaceutical audiovisual. And it gave me a different perspective of how to deal with customers, because I've been across the gamut on every different probably level. The one thing I haven't been is an engineer, but I've been a technician, a project manager, sales, consultant, design engineer, a little different than engineers. Don't offend any of people who are got engineering backgrounds and degrees. Design engineer. Currently I'm the market development manager at Starin, which is part of the Midwich company. See that plug I just did? Don't ever lose the opportunity to do a plug or cheap plug. But when I was doing technology management, it was how I learned how to treat a customer and how I was flipped on a different side. What you're learning today, what you guys know today as technology managers, is something that the integrator and the manufacturer are mystified by, because they're never there and see how they do. They don't look inwards. The ability to do that, whether you guys want to call yourselves technology integrators, in-house integrators, whatever the expression is, that's fine. Labels, use them. But the fact that you understand a different point of view makes you special. And it made me special enough to become a consultant, because I knew the tricks and the pitfalls that came with working with design, with designers, integrators, consultants, and all that. So when I was working internally for Novartis as a design engineer, I was looking through BOMs, bill of materials, since this is being recorded, and looking at what they were proposing and how it was designed, working closely with my engineers to double check that things weren't being doubled up, and protecting the customer from overpaying or overbuilt systems that were not necessarily needed. So anyway, one final book, by the way, a book by the name of Contagious by Jonah Berger. One of my favorite books. It's not really going to tell you how to brand, but it teaches you how to market. And it explains the psychology of why people fall in love with things, similar to Superfans, which is another one of my books that I like. Contagious by Jonah Berger explains why people sleep outside of Apple stores for the latest phone, and why people go nuts when Nintendo decides to drop a new whatever Switch game or something that my son is obsessed with right now. Why Pokemon has consistently delivered for 20 plus years, 30 plus years, which is unfathomable to me. Or why people specifically, why would somebody put a Harley Davidson logo on their arm? Now that is hardcore branding. Don't say, well, I'm sure Joe would love somebody to get a HETMA tattoo. I do not advise that. Please find a sanitary conditions and a state approved tattooer to get that done. None of these backdoor deals. Joe, I try to clear you out of that from legal. So, but yeah, I mean, think about the branding that goes into, or the love that goes into a brand like Harley Davidson from its users. That people are actually putting that stuff, inking it on their arm. Pretty intense. I had a friend of mine got a Nike swoosh. I thought he was the biggest dumbass on the planet. Don't ever wear Adidas now, because I will make fun of your Nike swoosh. But it was cool back then. He played basketball in high school. It's great. I'm sure your kids are proud. Well, the kids like it. But anyway, so what I'm trying to do in this conversation, because I know it's going to be interactive, I'm going to shut up the back and forth off, and I'm hoping to give you guys some ideas to think about. I want you guys to think about how you can help HETMA achieve to the next level. You're all marketers inside. You're all salespeople. You just don't know it. The best marketing that HETMA has is your representation. You go out there and you represent HETMA in the way you do. You can go out there and represent HETMA arrogantly. You can be kind and kind of humble about the whole thing. However, which way you need to portray it, you are representing the brand. And how you do that will recruit other members. And you just don't want to be a council at an Avixa. Think about Avixa. Let's since we're going to talk about it. Why did you guys form when you had Avixa? I'm sure you've had this internal conversation. I don't need to go into that. But Avixa does something very well. Avixa puts together a show every year that we all want to get to. But we are their best marketing. The minute we go on Twitter and tell you that it's 110 days to the next show, they should be sending you royalty checks. The minute that you are talking about HETMA and wanting to be at this conference, Joe should be sending you a royalty check of 2 cents a tweet, whatever the value of tweets are right now. But absolutely. So be vocal. It doesn't take a lot for you to do a tweet. I proved that with a 30-day challenge. If you want, I'll rewrite it so you have 30 more posts for you to post next 30 days. But think about this. Had you guys had a 30-day challenge of your own prior to this HETMA conference, and for 30 days you talked about HETMA in 30 posts and every single one of their members, and you took over a Twitter feed because you did that, or a LinkedIn feed, man, you know what the best compliment I got over the last 30 days was? AV Challenge is kind of spammy. Yeah, absolutely. I'm okay with that. It's not me. It's not you. You post every day about it. How's that spammy? But I tell you what, go to any marketer, any hardcore marketer, people that are marketers know this. So if I'm offending anybody, I'm sorry, but I'm not a marketer. Just a guy from Jersey who picked up a camera and wanted to be a cameraman in the Serengeti. Failed. Now, I'm talking to you fine folks. Ain't life grand, how things change, right? So what you get is the spamminess of it is what makes it what marketers want to call sticky. So one of the things that marketers look for on ROI, and I'm sure something through your head is running about ROI. If you're analytical, you're constantly thinking, what's the return on me posting? First of all, I'll ask you to think about what is the return if you don't post. If you're quiet, what are you doing? You can be a lurker. I encourage that on AV and the AM, absolutely. Especially when I'm in a meeting and some executive will quote something that was seen on AV and the AM, blatantly. I'm like, dude, I didn't even know you had Twitter. Oh, so I guess he must be Bob 40442. Okay, that's cool. I get it. You don't want to talk, but you can read. Use that to your advantage. And what marketers look for is open rates. By the way, the hardcore market, back to making marketers angry. They look for open rates on the emails. That's how they judge whether an email was successful. So if I send out an email to 1,500 integrators and 10 of them opened it, okay, what happens if I tweet out to that and it gets 20,000 impressions? And of those 20,000 impressions was how many times it appeared in front of a camera, like in front on your screen. And in that turn, you had, say, 5,000 views. I don't know how to justify that on an ROI. You guys, absolutely, please use the tools that are there available to you. LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, if you want to go that far, Snapchat, if you're feeling kind of funky. But get together, form a, think about this and do and kind of figure out what would be something that we would do leading up to InfoComm, because that is your Super Bowl, right? We all treat it as such. Doesn't matter if you're a tech manager, if you're a manufacturer or an integrator. What are you going to do that's going to stand out? How are you going to do it? Plenty of resources out there. I could be one of them. There's plenty of people out there that know it, that are willing to share. I have nothing to gain, so absolutely. If anything, I want to piss somebody off, so absolutely tell me how to make something, what you guys want to do, and I'll help you make it. Because it's always fun to watch somebody go nuts. How the hell did they do it? And I couldn't. So think about your brand, think about the community, think about your influence, because you all are influential. If that wasn't the case, there would be no manufacturer sitting here. There'd be no integrator sitting here. We want your feedback. We want your knowledge. Not necessarily, I care less what it is that you're doing, but I'm interested in how you're using this stuff, because that helps me figure out if it's not brand X, it's going to be brand Y. And if brand Y isn't doing it, then brand Z is. There's always choice. And you have a choice in how you want to do this. So if you learn anything from me, go out there, be memorable, start your posts, build your brand. You're all very knowledgeable, very smart people. Think about it. What do I have to offer? And how do I connect that back to HETMA? It's not that hard. And if it takes one post a day to help build your brand, or when I say your brand in this case, I'm talking about HETMA, then you are 100 times more successful than most social media happening in the world of AV. So please use that. And that's it now. I cut it short because Joe said to do that. But did I hit the points that you were looking for, Joe? I didn't get into the Avengers stuff. I didn't get into anything regarding Star Wars.
But you showed the mugs, though.
I did. That's
you got a Jabba mug.
Subliminal messaging, dude.
Except, I don't know if I'm supposed to be upset. I mean, you're telling me that the InfoComm thing wasn't just a complete accident? What a coincidence that I just happened to do that out of nowhere? I mean, what? Is that what you're saying? These random HETMA badges that we were walking around with, on an empty show floor, and it wasn't just an accident? Is that what you're saying?
Happy little accidents, as Bob Ross would say.
Exactly. All right, I want to open up questions because you have so much value to bring. So is there anyone who has a question? I have one, if not, but I want to open it up to others first because I do. Let's see. Someone's gonna have to help me watch the chat. But I do have this. So one of the things that I've always said is, and people who've listened to me know this, that all of life is sales, right? Everything you do is your own brand. And as we talk about HETMA and moving it forward, people talk to me and say, well, Joe, you're out everywhere and you're always doing this. I'm like, but do you realize I'm only doing it because I'm the one stupid enough to put myself out there? Like, I think the manufacturers, this is where the media people, which I'm sure we'll talk to Cindy, Dan, and Tim coming up, but they want to have these other voices. Trust me, everyone's tired of Joe Way. Okay. So how can someone or what is that influence? Let's say, okay, it's hard to put yourself out there, and understand marketing and to put yourself there. I'm just stupid enough to do it because, well, what are they going to do? Fire me or something? What is that? What can someone do for their own personal brand, and or how can HETMA help people with their personal brand? Because we are an advocacy group for the industry.
Mm-hmm. Putting yourself out there. The easiest way, the way that I started, was with blogging. I think it was at AV Technology Magazine was one of the first that gave me an opportunity, because I had lost my job at Merck, where I was a pharmacist. Well, I was in-house at Merck as an in-house integrator, Mike Peterson. That's what I was doing over there. Thank you. So as an in-house person, I was the first to get cut when they laid off, right? Because who needs somebody who turns on projectors and fixes problems in conference rooms when other people don't want to pay attention to it? So that's where I started kind of a branding conversation. I picked up a book called Me 2.0 by Dan Schwabel, and Joel Comm had another book as well that I followed. And I would not do any social media until I understood what Twitter was. And in the Twitter reading is what I discovered all about personal brand. They're kind of, social media and branding are kind of connected these days, right? If you're a part of HETMA and you're going to be out there doing social, you are connected to HETMA, right? One of the hardest things I have as a person with a brand is talking to companies that have been interested in me. You know, even Starin. Starin gave me a title of market development manager. What the hell is that? I do everything and anything that I need to do to make it work. In the corporate world, you get forced into buckets. So if you're thinking that you're going to start doing social because this is the way for you to become a VP of this or a CEO of that, through my own personal experience, I found that doing social and being out in the open has made it more confusing for some people to actually put a finger on what you're doing. So blogging is the first steps. You know, you guys have your own internal network of podcasts. Do that. You know, go outward facing to the public with the conversations. You know, me and Joe yesterday were on a conversation and we just started talking about a little podcast, and Joe's like, let's sign it up. Let's happen. Right? Because you want to appeal to a broader audience. It's not just, you know, internal to HETMA. What can you do to catch the attention of media? Cindy Davis is not going to pay attention to you if you're not witty, if you don't have a point, if you don't have something that is of value, that is making you different than the other person. She can go to a writer and hire anybody to write a story about something. But the difference is when you have personal experience, right? I think after 20 plus years, I have some street credibility for what I do. You guys have that. Don't be afraid to use it. That's the difference maybe between Joe being as outward as he is or somebody who's more introverted. Joe's not afraid to say, I have 20 plus years in this industry, right? I've gotten to the point where I'm not afraid to say that my best customer service knowledge that I ever got was serving up pizza slices at a pizzeria for like 10 years of my life. Dude, you think you guys got it bad when you deliver a projector or fix a problem where there's no mute, you know, they couldn't unmute something? Man, try messing up somebody's food order. There's people that stopped ordering and would still give me the evil side eye when they came into the pizza shop. Like, there are bigger problems, man, but your street credibility for what you have done gives you, you're an authority in what you do. So don't be afraid to put it out there. Yep. You don't necessarily have to do TikTok dances, but you can definitely do some cool stuff.
I encourage the TikTok dances too. No, I think that is totally true. I think just getting out there and, you know, and everyone has a voice. I think it's just, it's amazing what our industry would be the more people who get out there. And that's why I think AV in the AM is so successful. The range of people in the industry, from veterans to media people to manufacturers to integrators to end users to brand new people to seasoned vets. I think that's the huge draw, and we only get better as we all share our voices. And so we have another question here, and this one's from the great Cindy Davis coming up. And she just wants to know, how and why did you start AV in the AM?
Why not?
There it is.
That's my booger answer from Revenge of the Nerds. Man, I'm dating myself. Why? So AV Tweeps has existed for many years, and I do not claim to have started that because that was not me. There's people debating who did it. It was originally a group of about 5 or 6 people that kind of needed to find out, where the AV people were, and they all banded around the AV Tweeps hashtag. For people wondering why it's called AV Tweeps, the story goes they were looking at AVN, but then they would have this like adult video show every year that would they would be in the wrong stream. They said, no, let's not do that. Took some hashtag homework for them to figure out that AV Tweeps was the best one. So in the history of hashtags, there's AV Tweeps, there's Pro AV, very general, very open. You're all AV Tweeps by definition, right? You're all in the business, you're all in the industry. It encompasses commercial, residential, everybody, right? But, and again, I'll go to a movie reference, the Facebook movie. The conversation that they had at the restaurant with Justin Timberlake, where he told him to get rid of the in the Facebook. Why? It'd be cooler, right? You look at things that get played out. AV Tweeps was so wide, so far stretching that it was ingrained into everybody's posts. Man, everybody was putting out. I mean, even, tiny diode manufacturers out of Malaysia were using AV Tweeps to try to buy, here, buy this little blinking light. AV and AM came as a conversation early on, actually, probably with Tim Albright. I do credit Tim. I've been paying forward to Tim because Tim, so when you ask me, what's the recipe? I started with blogging, but then Tim gave me the opportunity to actually go on video for the first time and be part of a podcast. So I've been paying it forward since then. Tim, I'm done kissing your ass. I just want to say that it's enough's enough, but no, in all fairness,
that's paid.
I do owe him a lot for giving me an opportunity, because what was I? I was a technology design consultant in New Jersey that would go to Infocom and not get paid attention to at a booth, right? I remember my first Infocom, it sucked. But we are, as humans, communal. We look to get together. People travel in groups. We all stay to the right side of the road. We all like to walk in a big group. We all feel safe in that. You have that with HETMA. So how do you do that and get loud, right? How do you recruit? Or else it's going to die. Because if you don't consistently think about how you're going to elevate it or how you're going to take it to the next level, then it's always going to be just a group of you. And groups that have not succeeded in the past didn't know how to recruit or made it so tight knit that it didn't work, right? Even the AM's open to everybody. And why did it start? It was because I separated it from AV Tweeps. I didn't use the AV Tweeps hashtag because I didn't feel like it was necessary to pollute that stream with the conversations. So that's where it started. And the conversation between me and Tim was, I went to Tim once and I said, have you ever thought about weekend programming on AV with AV Nation? It's like, nah, nobody talks on weekends. Nobody's watching, nobody's paying attention to Twitter. And he was right. There was nobody on Twitter on the weekends. You can go out there and say, help, I am stuck in AV hell. The projector won't turn on. Can somebody help? You'll get an answer on Monday at 9:00. Good luck. So that was Twitter early on. But it was persistence. It also helped that I had a following. So a lot of the following that I had started talking, and when they start talking on Twitter, everybody else sees it. So if you get a like, if you get a post, people see that. People like that. People, then all of a sudden they started connecting. That's where then I don't have any design capability. So I went to Fiverr. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I paid $25 for a logo to be made because I needed a rallying symbol, right? Why does Batman have a bat, right? Why is it shined up? I'm not saying I'm Batman. Look, I do not want to offend anybody who's DC or Marvel fans. I am not that guy, but it's a symbol. And you all kind of like coffee or tea for the most part. And it worked. It was, and I didn't want, so in the logo, it wasn't supposed to look like an AV logo. That's why there's a coffee cup in it. Because if I made it AV, then everybody'd be mad. Everybody gets mad about stupid shit. but it was a cafe logo. That's all it was. Coffee cup and a hashtag. And if I ever opened up my DMs and showed you the hate mail I get, and the positive, you deal with it. You got to get to be a little bit of a thicker skin. Maybe it's because I'm from Jersey. Word up, Tim, wherever Tim went. Maybe we're just a little hardened from just people talking shit all the time. Wow, dude, that's been 3 curses in one presentation. I am rocking. Anyway,
and we're still the morning coffee.
And I'm still on coffee number 6. It's okay. What else you got?
All right. Anyone else got something? Oh, bring back AV happy hour. There's a request for AV happy hour, but
AV happy hour, unfortunately, I put on the shelf. It was fun. It was great. It was good. But as good as it did and a lot of fun as it was, it exceeded expectations. I didn't realize how important it was to people. And I apologize for the folks that I've not been able to run an AV happy hour for over the last few months, but it also spun to the point where I couldn't control where the conversations go. It was never my intent to censor any of that. So it was a good time to pull out. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. But I've done other things. I encourage you to do, get in and take a selfie at Infocom and use the hashtag AV selfie, right? That should be pretty simple. I can't tell you how I angered some people because of the idea of AV selfie. And that's a conversation for you to have with me at Infocom 22, because I do have a special announcement. But Joe said not to share it, so you can blame Joe.
What do we want breaking news? We can have breaking news here. I'm all for breaking news.
Well, no, I actually checked with my with management, and I'm not 100% there yet. But yes, you will need to find me at Infocom 2022, because one of the things that I'm good at for Infocom is I play this role of club promoter. So people come to me and say, hey, we got a party. Do you know anybody who would like to come? Right. And I can't go to every party, so I give my passes away for people. And I let people in on secret parties that are happening. And so one of the things that we have that I've planned, or we have planned at Starin, we have a fun night planned. Where that's going to happen is still under that classified label, but I will have something for you there. I will be at Infocom this year by hook or by crook. So good or bad, mask, without a mask, I could care less. We're gonna party like it's 1999, Joe.
Well, I love it. Oh, and by the way, watch this. Watch and learn, everybody. See, he said there's no happy hour, but there does happen to be a higher ed happy hour that happens on the 3rd Friday of every month after the HETMA meeting. And there's the link that I just dropped in the chat. So while Chris won't show you a good time, I'm always here to show you a good time. Shameless plug, higher ed AV happy hour right there. There's the link to sign up.
It's not shameless when it's your event, Joe. We've talked about this. When it's your event, it's not shameless, dude. It's called paying the bills. You're good. You're all right.
There it is. See?
Anybody else have any questions? I hope you guys are drinking coffee, because I don't want to be like interrupting your coffee and Cheerios and stuff. I know Justin Dawson's definitely past coffee at this point. Sorry, Justin, that happy hour is not going down anymore, but
please on whiskey. I want to say, is there any last question? And then I want to give everyone who, if there is any last thing anyone has, you've got the master right here in front of you.
Far from it.
All right, there we go. Going once, going twice. I just want to say thank you very much, Chris. This has been an honor. We do have one. All right, Dwayne. So right at the last buzzer. Here we go. Dwayne, welcome to the show.
It wasn't really a question, but Chris, I tell you, we appreciate everything you do for the industry. It's always good to see your tweets come across and everything you got going on. So I know it takes time and effort, but I'm sure I speak for a lot of us when we say thank you for what you do. And
I appreciate it. It's hard for me to say thanks because it's second nature at this point for a lot of the stuff I do. You need to thank my wife for allowing me to do things on a Sunday, because I've given up a lot of Sundays in a row to do this. She's patient with this. I can't say it's been easy, but man, it's been a rewarding experience to get the feedback like that. That's what makes it, that's what justifies it. So once, you hear that some of the stuff that you're putting out or some of the content you're putting out is good, and just to set the record straight on AV and the AM, if you guys are participating in it and you're new, I am pushing you that week and the week after that like it's nobody's business. I want new faces. I want new opinions. I want different voices in there, and it not necessarily the OWGs. I want all different types of voices to be heard. And even if it's difficult questions that we need to put out there for the industry to talk about, so be it. So we are going to be doing takeovers with diversity groups, and we are going to continue doing diversity conversations. We're going to continue having conversations with the ladies of our industry who are going to, bring those questions forward. I want to see more of that. We're better than to hide those conversations. So that's coming. On AV and the AM, I made a call for takeovers, and one of the conversations that came up was somebody wants to do project managers versus engineers. That's new. Usually it's consultants versus everybody, but I'm cool with project managers versus engineers. I'm sure you guys, HETMA will do a takeover sometime this year. You've done successful ones at that. It's not easy to do a takeover simply because there's a way I got to put the conversation out there and then allow you guys to all jump in and do the tweets and the retweets, because the more you guys connect on a takeover, the more successful it gets. And Joe wants to break 7 million impressions the next time.
Oh, we're going for, hey, we are multiple 6 million impression clubs. So we know how to bring it when we bring it.
Thank you, Dwayne. I appreciate it. Mike, you had a question?
No,
I think he was just applauding. He was doing,
I
I think he was
thought it was a hand raise.
no, I was applauding. Give you the applause. Thanks for everything you do.
Hey, no problem. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, Chris, we do thank you for this time. I encourage everyone again to connect with Chris, of course, at Chris_Neto on Twitter. Find him on LinkedIn. This is someone we can all learn from, and is the master of all things.